So today I wanted to talk about the power of positivity. And with that, I feel that there's a lot of issues that we deal with currently today come from the mindsets of individuals out in the world. A lot of people are running around in this more negative, some people want to say low frequency, low vibration type mindset, the things that are going through their mind, the things that they think, the way that they think of themselves. I want to talk about the power of positivity and how positivity can change you as a whole, and not just speaking it, but believing it. Because there's a lot of people who will sit here and just preach, like talk positive things, and they don't even
Right.
We got an echo.
I wanted to discuss today, and again, just in the form of a conversation. There ain't no questions. I ain't got nothing, no questions lined up. I'm like, let's just preach. I feel like we all have some knowledge on this, and I'm like, let's just chop it up. Let's talk.
Right.
I mean, positivity. You say you want to talk about positivity from a place of not just speaking and being it. Well, a lot of times people don't see themselves in a positive identity. So their self-identity is already in a negative space. So the first thing that my suggestion would be is actually reassess your self-identity, how you see yourself, reassess how you feel about the moment that you're actually in right then and there. And is that moment, is that positive or quote unquote negative? Are you dealing with situations and you're not even there to actually deal with the situation? You're just responding and reacting to the situation. So positivity, I would say, first of all, we have to come to a place of really embodying that, the thing that we say we want. So we're talking about having a good attitude. Do you embody a good attitude? If you want a good woman, are you a good man? You want a good man, are you a good woman? Positivity, it's the effect of something. It's not the cause. Positivity is the effect. When you do something, when you cause something in your life and you receive the positivity, you had to initiate something. And I think that's where we have to get back to. We have to initiate a level of presence and consciousness to be able to be positive, and not just with words, but with our actions. So for me, I would start there. It's what it is that you're saying on a daily basis positively, and are you embodying the very essence that you say that you're doing, whatever that case may be. So positivity starts from an inward journey versus an external one.
Yeah, I can say.
I was just saying I agree. Go ahead if you want to.
No, I was saying the same thing. Basically, I agree. I have to come from a perspective of post experiences, because most of the time when we're looking for positivity is after we've experienced something's happened that's turned your life upside down. Otherwise, by a natural happiness and jovial behavior in children up to the age of even teenagers. When they become teenagers, things begin to shift for them, and they're not seeing the world like they did when they were children, or they see a responsibility that they didn't have before. Now life is a little bit different than it was prior to that. So fighting through the experience of whatever you're seeing, again, the neighborhoods we live in, the people that we surround ourselves with, it's like there's a light on the inside of you that you can turn on, and it all surrounds the things that you hope and you believe about yourself. If your belief about yourself, like I'll say, I think I was talking about this the other day, majority of what I write is based on the existence of love versus love for one particular person. When I started writing poetry initially, then the object of it changed because of somebody that I met. Having that natural ability to write about love and love being there despite everything around me is my way of being positive or being optimistic about love, period. So it's in the core of us. The sad thing about it is the world kind of messes it up when all these layers begin to fall on your life about things that you have to do, things that you can't do because of the roadblocks that you run into. This is all reality. because these things actually do happen. You run into stuff that you thought you were ready to deal with, and you can't deal with it. You find you can't deal with it. What do? You either step back and you regurge yourself to run out of it again, or the people around you should be the ones that are supporting you. Like I was talking to my son today, and we were talking about just him experiencing life. He's living this now, right? And he's running into some roadblocks about jobs and how to look for a job, what the expectation is for whether it's commission or an hourly rate or whatever. But him learning or understanding actually what it is is kind of painful, because he geared up, he got his job, he paid for the testing. The rest of us to find out that he's got to put a whole bunch of people in the pipeline in order to see $1. You know what I'm saying? So is that what he was ready for? No, he wasn't ready for that. But my whole thing was, hey, you got a family. You have somebody here. We're here for you to have this conversation when you come to these type of roadblocks. We're here to talk positivity and to remind you of who you are and where you come from. You have a legacy. You're not by yourself. So just speaking positivity into the life of others. And when you do that, when I do that, I kind of remind myself during the time that if I'm going through something, hey, yeah, it's happening. It's temporary, but I'm going to get through it. You see what I'm saying? There's no, I just don't fold up to it. At the end of the day, it varies for me, because again, I've seen a lot and I've heard a lot from individual people. So to say it's one specific way to come at it, there's so many different ways. You can't just say this is the cookie cutter way to come at it and that's it. It does not work that way. It's all based on the experience of a person, where they're at, who they have around them, what their access is to anything, if there's any access. Because then you have people that are homeless. I met this guy that was a chef, and he made really, really good money. He chose to be homeless. He didn't want to deal with the world. He was like, look, I'm done. I'm happy where I'm at, because I had bills to contend with. I had people I was fighting with on a daily basis. I had people trying to knock me out of my spot. I can't do it no more. I'd rather be down here going through my emotions. The only thing I have to worry about is people around me, and that's it. So he was happy with that. It made no sense to me initially, but after a while it did, because, hey, yeah, he's right. These are things you don't have to contend with on a monthly or a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? So it all depends on the person, what their access is, who they have around them to support them, and what their direction is initially. And some that don't have a direction, it's a little bit harder to see some positivity. But one thing I do know is when the sun comes out and it's a clear blue day and everything seems to be so much better, regardless of what's happening. You realize, I don't know if you experienced that, but it's the serotonin. That serotonin level rises. And regardless of what's happening around you, you're breathing the air, the sun is out, the sky is blue, and for some reason that day is so much better than all the others. And it's solar plexus, right? We're being fed. We're being fed by the sun. So I think that is an organic way of experiencing positivity.
See, I love that. Now with me, one thing that I've learned from my experience of positivity, I learn a lot through others from myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure.
I've been through some things in life, and I'm constantly trying to bring love, light, peace, and positivity to others based off situations I have been through, because I'm constantly facing, as you want to call them, demons or whatever. And so the way that I keep myself kind of grounded and balanced is bringing smiles and enlightening other individuals. Like every day I live by 3 daily rules. Every day I strive to make at least one person smile. Every day I strive to influence someone on a positive level, and every day I strive to learn something new. And I started that probably like 7 years ago. Nope. probably about 9 years ago. And with that, it's become a part of who I am. After doing it for about 2 years straight, I do it subconsciously. I don't even try anymore. And with that, there's a lot of times where people come up to me and they start spilling things that they're going through, and I just talk to them out of my experiences if I'm able to relate. Or either I'll ask them, do you want advice, or you just need someone to vent to? And if they want advice, then I tell them. And later on, they usually come back to me and tell me the things that I told them. Sometimes I don't even remember what I told them, but when they end up telling me back, I'm just like, damn, that's something I need to govern myself with as well. Because sometimes I say something that I'm not even doing myself, but hearing it come from another individual, I really grasp it, you know? Because I mean, there's sometimes where I say something and I don't even really recognize that I'm saying it, unfortunately. Right. And I mean, when I was younger, people always used to say, like, well, think before you speak, because sometimes I would talk and I wouldn't remember exactly what I said. Or I would remember like bits and pieces of it. But when someone else tells me, it's like, damn, bro, that's some good advice. I'm like, yeah, you told me that. I'm like, the fuck? I was like, oh, snap. So sometimes I get positivity from others. I get positivity from myself from others. Right. So I mean, it's crazy. And I mean, the worst part is sometimes earlier I was saying, I was like, you might have someone who is positive, speaks positivity, but they don't believe it themselves. And I mean, that's sometimes like what I do. I may end up speaking something positive, but until it comes back to me, then that's when I kind of believe it. And then my life really starts changing, which is weird. I'm not sure if that's a way that life should be, but I'm like, it works for me. Everybody's not the same, but me. When it comes to
it's just the way you pull back the veil.
Yeah. So I'm like, when it comes down to those positive thoughts, those positive affirmations, like for me, because I'm only myself. I'm not in charge of everybody else. For me, there's times where I can sit here and I can be giving myself positive affirmations. And when I first started, I'm not gonna lie, there was like 3 times that I did positive affirmations for periods of times. First time I tried doing it, I didn't believe the shit. Nothing was happening. I was just like, I still feel ugly. I still feel like I'm dumb. Second time I did it, I was in school going for LPN, and I told myself, I was like, I am smart. I was like, I am very intelligent. I was like, there ain't nothing that can stop me. And when I tell you I did that, my grades were constantly A's, and I was wondering how I was getting A's because I was just like, this shit's too easy. And things that I didn't even like, I'm not gonna lie, that's the statistics was a pain in the ass. That one was not easy. But even now, I really got to the point where I'm like, you know, when I say something, I need to believe it. Like Naruto, believe it. If you don't believe the things that you are speaking, you really just have open words. The thing that sucks is even sometimes when you say things, you might not believe it, but it still has an impact in the world. Because you can tell someone that they're ugly, you might not even believe they're ugly, but they might end up taking truth in what you said, and that will impact their reality. And now they're thinking that they're ugly. So I'm like, the believing in the words that you say, and even if you don't believe them, be mindful of the things that you say and the things that you do, because positivity is not just in words, it's in actions also.
It's your words, man. Words are power, man. Everything you say shapes your life. And I learned that the hard way, because when I get angry or upset and I get down on myself, that stuff manifests almost instantaneous. And you get deeper in the rabbit hole until you realize, hey, man, I've gone too far. Now I got to pull out of this. And for me, pulling out of it is, like you were saying, affirmations initially. And it's all based on what I believe my ability was, right? When you're in your 20s, you're ready to rip the world apart, and you leave a trail of whatever, not knowing and not really caring, because you have this. It's like you have this superpower, and you're just going and doing, not taking note of anything. And anyway, that was me anyway. So when I did finally slow down and realize, hey, I got to pay attention to some things that I'm doing, because I made some impacts, a lot of positive impacts, and I made some impacts on people because they're yanking me to the side. Hey, I really like the way you're doing things, especially when it came to finance. Man, I had people eating out of the palm of my hand. That's just the way it was, because that was my ability. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, the way I was treated in that world was put me in the mindset that, hey, man, I'm just a token here. And when I repeated that to myself too many times, it began to manifest, or it opened up more to where I could see where they were actually treating me that way. So then the portion was pushing myself to believe that I could do it without anybody else. You know what I'm saying? The trust and the belief in myself that I can get out here and do it, and I can just be just effective for myself than I was for the people that I was working for. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that I can make moves and they'll be valid. Otherwise, people are looking for the brand, which are the for me, I worked for 2 or 3 big banks. And when you say that you work for this bank, it's supposed to be some type of prestige. It was all BS at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, for me, it was, hey, I can say this, and I can say I'm working for myself, and I know that I'm putting in the work, and I know I'm seeing the results of it. So the accolades should be for me. The building up should be for me. The motivation, my motivation should be based on me building myself up, and for whatever reason I'm doing it. And then the biggest success that I ever had was when I worked community, or I'm still working community. But when I started working community, because like you were saying, those conversations, the relating conversations with young people, and seeing where they're at, seeing what their capabilities were, and at the same time knowing that they had some major challenges, it was invigorating to know that they had this positivity, even though they were facing major challenges. To them, they couldn't see the challenges. All they knew was, I'm getting up, and I said, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And it was great working with their energy, but at the same time, it was like, okay, how do we help them hone it to where this is not temporary? This can be long term for them instead of the short term. And to stop going for the short stuff, and let's plan long term. And when that happened, and they could actually see themselves doing it later on, like years later, I got kids seeing the kids that I was helping in grocery stores, and they're like, "Hey, Mr. Walter, this is what I'm doing now. I'm in real estate. I just bought my first house, blah, blah." And it was that whole feedback of the time that I put in the community was like, oh man, this is what it's really about. I mean, you can get a paycheck, but this is what it's really about, knowing that you made impact on the people around you. You see what I'm saying? And that's a buildup of positivity right there for yourself and the other person, you know, or the people around you, period. So yeah, I get it. Especially when you say, hey, yeah, when I talk to other people, I feel like it's more of an impact on me, because sometimes you say stuff that to them that you don't really even think about for yourself. I get it.
I would say that for me, just to piggyback on everybody said, because both of you guys, hell yeah, everybody is explaining exactly what happened from within. So that all is there. The other side that I would add to that, if we had to take into account too, that how they're program manipulative. You know what I'm saying? How they conceive and believe a particular program of identity. And one of the reasons I can say Sigma Uno is why you impacted those young men so much, because you changed the frequency in their imagination. They could see themselves different. So when you can see yourself in imagination and it's positive, you see yourself in your own home, you see yourself in your new car, you see yourself in that business. It all happens in the imagination first. So what you may not have realized, that you actually open up their imaginations for positivity, to let them see themselves at a different place than where they are. So when you saw them years later, that imagination, that thing kicked in automatically. And then they started believing in that imagination, they believed in it. And the other thing I would say is we got to take in the content of levels and moments of peeling back those layers. Everybody not want to peel back that layer at the same time, especially when they're kind of being positive or seeing themselves. So if someone is at a depressed state like I was at one particular time, I couldn't see positivity. There's nothing that you could have tell me that life was going to get better. I was going to meet good people in my life, and I was going to start, reading spiritual things, and I was going to be, I would be a master at meditation. Like, but I couldn't see that shit when you're down in the dirt. So we got to take into account too, and like you said, be compassionate and empathy with those who don't see themselves in a positive light, and that we may be able to enlighten and share different images. So when we place the images and the symbol of positivity, and that's going to change the unconscious mind. The conscious mind going to follow. So it's the programming of the unconscious mind, because that's what we think from. Like I told Ira, he said, man, how do you think of these things? I said, I don't think. As soon as I start thinking, I'm lost.
Exactly.
I'm in the present of now. I'm lost when I start thinking, because I'm thinking about too many things. I might be thinking about what I want for my kids, what I want for my grandkids, how I want to expand the business, if I'm going to do what I'm going to eat today. Do I got enough time to write this today? Oh, yeah, by the way, I got to do. And when I'm thinking, I got fucking 10, 12 shits at one time.
Right.
No.
Right.
When I'm present, I'm only here in this moment. So being here right now, speaking in positivity, I'm not doing nothing else.
Right.
I'm totally here. So I don't have to think about what needs to be said. I can piggyback on what you guys are saying and just roll and bounce off that same energy. And we just continue to build and enhance each other and anybody who's listening.
See, and I love the fact that you said that, because like that makes more sense of how I said, like, I will end up talking to individuals and I might not remember what I said to them because I'm giving them my undivided attention. Like I'm there with them at that moment. And thinking back about how we were just talking on the TikTok live not that long ago, we were talking about getting to a state of meditation, of clearing the mind, and a lot of answers end up getting brought to you. And it's because of the fact that you're not thinking, you're allowing yourself to be and allowing things to actually come to you rather than forming your own idea and thoughts about it.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Perfect. I couldn't have said it no better. Couldn't have said it no better.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it no better.
And as I think the other piece for me is the gathering of people, like this whole the podcast that we're doing, and in any other group settings, when you get together and you start talking, and that energy starts popping, and everybody's like vibing from each other. It's like this whole positive. I mean, and I know it's never intended. I mean, even at a cigar lounge, I'll sit and we'll be just kind of chilling, and before you know it, somebody's striking up a conversation. Before you know it, the whole room is vibing, and everybody's feeling this great energy. And regardless of whether it was a definitive thought or not, it was a moment of positivity. It was a moment of high vibration. You see what I'm saying?
That goes right back to your birthday when we were sitting on the porch with the cigars.
Yeah, exactly. And at that moment, that moment was like, it was an amazing time. It was like and then breaking into a conversation about, I don't know, we talked about 2 or 3 different things during that time. And it was the vibration was so high, Bitcoin, whatever else we were talking about, it was just a high moment to where we were just all vibing and feeling this energy from each other. And
19 keys, high level conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Feeling the good vibration from people. That's another way. Yeah. That's a silent, probably a pretty silent way of it happening. Not completely silent, but I mean, have you ever sat in a room with people and just actually did nothing, didn't plan a conversation, and you just feel this vibe and like, these are people I want to continue to kick it with. And when we gonna kick it again? You see what I'm saying? So it's that's another form of positivity, I believe.
Oh, definitely.
Facts. I agree completely, because when you end up running across like-minded individuals, and that is right there another reason why you should not judge a book by its cover. And I've learned that a lot of times you end up having some really good conversations with individuals who you think are less fortunate.
Right.
Come on.
Right.
Major insights and have powerful words, but they're constantly being overlooked because they're being looked down at by individuals who might not even recognize that they have a snobby attitude.
Right.
So, I mean, there's individuals who might be in this woke community or spiritual journey and everything who still have not realized that they are judging without realizing that they're looking down on other people because they think that they have reached a point of enlightenment and everybody else should be on that level, when it's just like, bro, I think somebody, I think it was my stepdad, he actually said, so how do you realize you reached a point of spiritual psychosis?
It's called self-revelation. That's when you realize.
There you go.
See, when
self-revelation, because guess what?
I'm send this episode to him just because I referenced that, because I didn't have the answer to that question.
Yeah.
And I mean, so with you provided
it's self-revelation.
To hear that.
Because you got to think about it too. When you just don't know, And because I know I was a person that when I came into a certain level of knowledge, I thought everybody would want to hear it and everybody would want to come to where I was. And so I did judge people out of my ignorance. I did.
Right.
And I realized, wait a minute, am I forcing them something upon them that they don't even want? And just because I see it right for myself, I think it's beneficial for them. That's not fair. Because nobody did that to me. So that's when I had to, again, self-realization. Oh, no, this is about my journey. If they decide to start their journey, they can start wherever they are and whatever subject they want to get into. But I'll be okay where I am. And so that's why just having that love and understanding for self and again, self-analysis, self-revelation, self-identity, you know, being able to understand self from a place of soul and spirit, it gives you a different conception of life because you're not responding to life. You're not in survival mode when you're with the one.
Right.
So you're not in fearful.
That also polishes your light when you're focused more on yourself. So regardless of whether you feel like you're impacting people with your words, you're definitely impacting people with who you become. When after you build up who you are, people are going to see that. It's what is it? To let your light so shine that the world can see your good works and glorify God. It's basically the same thing.
Oh no.
If I know who I am on the inside and I keep building, and you ain't got to shout it to the world. You don't. They'll see it. Most people will stop and be like, "Hey, I love your smile. You just look so shiny. How do I get what you got? I mean, it happens.
Shiny.
But that's
real. Because that one affirmation, to piggyback on what you're saying about that light shining, the affirmation that I used to use all the time is, I am who I'm becoming, and who I'm becoming, I am.
Right.
So that was an affirmation that I used a long time ago to understand that, the person that you already that. You don't know you that. So as you peel back those layers, as you stated, you just reveal all that's there. So
Right.
That's where all the greatness lies at. So let me ask y'all a question on positivity and a father's redemption. Could that be looked at as positivity, or is his ability to redeem himself too late?
No, it's not. It's never too late. It's all about reception. How the people how they receive you, and I have to say that because I have a daughter that I've poured everything into my children, everything that I can. I'm still pouring, but some don't exactly understand fully, and she attaches herself to her mom. So anything about her is going to be her mom, but her mom has some negativity about it, and she dishes negativity on me. So hoping I leave the door open for her to come and have a conversation. And when she's able to come to have a conversation, it'll be a point that I can listen to her. But I can't pull myself to a place to where I'm beating myself up. If I present myself and say, "Hey, the door is open. Here's let's get together. Let's go talk. Let's go have some food and talk about how you feel. You can batter me to the fifth wind. I don't really care. Just tell me how you feel about me." That's the point. It's a point of redemption. It's like, hey, I know I messed up. I made some mistakes. I know you heard some bad stuff, but here I am. Just let me know how you feel about it. I don't care what you say. Just say how you feel. I don't think, and it's all in the mind of the individual, though. If they're in this place where they just hate
there you go.
They're mad at you, and they don't want to get past it, they ain't going to get past it. But you shouldn't hold that against yourself because you're making the steps to make sure that you guys have a good relationship or begin to have a relationship, to a door open to have a good relationship. So you can only do what you can do. But as long as you made the effort, the ball is in their court. If they don't want to have a relationship, just say you don't want to have a relationship. I'm coming and I'm telling you I was wrong. I made some mistakes in the past. I'm still your father. I hope you can receive me as that. Let's have a conversation. The only thing about it is if you get the opportunity and you, that's on you. That's on you if you. But but if you don't, if you take the opportunity and you build something from it, it could be like 1 hour a week or 1 hour a month. It makes no difference. You're putting the time in. You see what I'm saying? And that's what, for me, that's important. I call, I do some, see, I love the technology because you send text messages, emails, you leave voicemail, all that stuff. That's what I do. I flood her phone with that stuff. So she can't go back and say, hey, he ain't reached out to me. I've been reaching out from day one. The minute that you turn 15 years old and you started withdrawing yourself from me, I started sending you those messages. I started sending you little memes and all the rest of the stuff, sending you affirmations about how beautiful you are as my daughter. And I'm glad that you're in my life. And I keep sending them over and over again, regardless of whether she responds or not. It's there. It's me showing I'm there and I love her and I want to be in her life. But again, if she gave me an opportunity and I messed it up, I can count it out and be like, look, I screwed this one up. I can't do nothing else. I can't ask her for anything else. But again, no, I wouldn't count it out. If you're putting in the effort, it's all the ball is in their court.
Beautiful. Impossible. I wanted you to ask that question again so I can give my response.
A father's redemption is his ability to make it back. Does it seem too late at times? Or can you feel that he can always make it back? Because sometimes some fathers feel that it's too late.
What I'm going to say, actually, Mr. Sigmundo hit on as well, which I had to smile when he said it because that's what I was going to say. I was like, it's up to the individual. Just before Mr. Sigmundo also he told me, he was like, look, the moment you try and prove to someone that you're a good person, you're already losing. So with that, sit there and understands, you know what, I have made mistakes, but I'm learning and growing from those mistakes. I feel that a father he's always going to have to redeem himself in the society that we live in currently, based off of the negative context that's always put on the men regardless.
Right.
So when it comes down to it, it's never too late. You often get to where you're going by living where you are. And they always say, I'd rather be late than never. So when it comes down to it, as long as you are as a father, as long as you are doing your best and passing on the knowledge that you have based off of your experiences, rather than I think this is what's going to happen. Because with me, I'd rather tell you what has happened through what I have gone through, because I know for fact that can happen. I don't want to put in your mind the hypotheticals of things that can happen because I haven't gone through that. But at the same time, this is what I have went through. So whether that was a good outcome or a bad outcome, hopefully you don't make that same mistake.
Right.
If it was a bad outcome, or either so you can learn from what I have gone through, or either if you make a similar decision, you might, in your own thought, your own thinking pattern, you can end up doing something that'll make your outcome even better than what I experienced.
Right. Right.
So I'm like, I feel that there is no late. There is no such thing as being late, because if you want to put it into the Bible, you're never late. You're always right on time. So even with it, as long as you pass that on, you're doing your due diligence as a father. So to really be an absent father is to not be around, or to think that you are being late so you don't even try.
Or to know that you're a father and completely omit the responsibility, period.
Yes.
And then
to disregard the responsibility.
Right,
yes.
Right. And then to come with this attitude like, I'm your daddy, you're going to do what I say.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't even know who you are.
Respect is earned, not given.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Fact.
Demanding respect. Like, yo, I'm your father, you need to listen. Well, what have you done that shows me that I should even listen to you?
Right.
Where your ass was at? Like, for real.
Right. I don't know who you are. Where
you at? Where you at?
Exactly.
The kids say, where you at?
Who is you?
What the reason why I asked that question is because I am a father that has been on the road to redemption and still on the road to redemption right now to this very day. So I already know that it's not too late. But I also, as Ms. Sigmundo said, he said, oh, you got to put that work in. You got to let them know. Hey, all that happened. Yeah. But I tell you, sometimes it's difficult for fathers to be a father because they are omitted out of the child's life. So a lot of times it's not really up to the father that's saying, oh, I don't want to be in the child's life. That's not always the father's fault.
No. No.
So the redemption that fathers have to make sometime is based upon the woman. Don't want that. So what we're talking about, the positivity from that is the ability for the father to see something and be resilient within himself, to continue to build that relationship, continue to be there for that son or daughter in spite of their distance, in spite of what happened between the significant other, to always be there for that child. So that's the positivity that I've always taken from that in spite of, I might have not been there when they was little babies, because they didn't know me when they was little babies. They met me when they were teenagers. So when you meet me when you 12, when you meet me when you 14, shit, you a damn little teen, you a little teenager.
Right.
Now we gotta it's a whole different ball game. So my redemption comes from a different place, and I can tell you, I'm a person that never give up. I'm a warrior at heart, and it's not like me and my daughters like we got some. Yeah, it's not like we got some old crazy like I can't hate you, I hate you, but I know they got a level of dislike because of my absence. That's just a psychological fact. That's not. It's not necessarily for me saying I know you mad with me. I know what my absence does to this. I know what my absence does to this. So, you know, my positivity is to get that love back. Go ahead.
And that's the silence. The silence you have to give. You got to give silence, because you can't hear them without being silent. You can't come in scratching and clawing, talking about, I'm a daddy, I'm gonna be in your life. I know some people that have completely omitted the father, like you're saying, omitted the father. He finds out later on, I got a kid, into her, found out he had a kid, child looked just like him, and he started doing the math, talking about, why didn't you tell me this is my child? She didn't want him to be in the life, period. But accidentally, they turned to each other, and this is my child now. And for a long time, we had conversations. He was like, man, what do I do? What do I say to this kid? He's like 11 years old. I missed all of his childhood. What do I do now? I'm like, the best thing you can do is listen.
And be there.
And be there. Just being. Sometimes just going to a movie, sitting and being. Baseball games, sitting and being.
If something like that had happened to me, luckily I am blessed to be with a woman who would not let me go. And I did not want to let the kids go. I'm not gonna lie. At one point I was like, yo, just leave me the kids and get the fuck out. Like that was me. Because when I was younger, I was at a point where I was like, look, I can do every damn thing my damn self. I was like, if I could find a woman who would bear my child and give me the child and leave me the fuck alone, I'd be happy. But then going in through it, and during her nesting stage, I'm not gonna lie, I was annoyed because, like I said, I was in that point where I was like, look, everything I can do for myself. And I'm like, if I want vagina, that's what you can provide. Other than that, I got 2 hands and they work perfectly fine. I'm having a threesome every time. But when it came down to children, if I was in a situation to where I was not in my children's life and I ended up meeting them when they were 12, I feel like the best place to start is start with everything you want to say from the beginning. Let them know that you cherish them, you think of them, things like that. Yeah. So with me, I feel like I would start from the beginning and then all the way to where we are, to let them know, like, look, you've been on my mind type deal, and let them know, like, it has not been an absence that you were out of my head, and let them. I would build from there, and I would end up probably presenting that after being silent and listening to everything that they said. So that way, I can gauge exactly how they feel, and I'm not going to sit there and try and prove my point of why I wasn't there, or why these things didn't happen. I would just let them know how I feel about them from the beginning, all the way to where we are now. So that way they understand, like, look, you were on my mind, and now we can build that relationship from where we are currently.
Right.
But that's just me.
But listen, in a perfect world, that would work great. In a perfect world.
In a perfect world. You're right.
In a perfect world. That's it. That's the best place to start at in a perfect world.
But we're in a
society which we grew up in, nigga, you catching these MFs, nigga, you gonna catch these bombs. Nigga, look at the fuck you talking, and they don't want to.
They have the
positivity of it all. Yes, listen. I've never tell my children they cannot feel the way that they feel. That's why I've had the ability to have round tables with my daughter for 10 years. 10 years.
Wow.
I was able to sit down and have conversations with my daughter where they can say any and everything. I've heard everything in my daughter's life. So fellas, if you think you're sneaking and doing some shit, I fucking know, dude.
He said,
Fucking know.
"No, dude. Fuck yeah."
I fucking know, dude. Yeah. But you know, oh, because listen, and it's not about being graphic, it's not about being anything like that. But as far as what was going on in their life, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, relationship wise, finance wise, when they come and they're telling me, Daddy, at this particular time, you made me feel like blah 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 blah, and you blah 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 blah. I didn't say nothing, not a damn thing. I said, I love you. And I didn't always make the best choice. That's true. I love you. I didn't always make the best choice. I realized what I did then, my action then didn't realize the ripple effect.
Right.
But I mean, at that time, she just expressing how she feel. They expressing how they feel in totality. So me telling them how much they been on my mind when they were young, bitch, nigga, you finna get a shot body. You know what I'm talking about? You better get body. You about to get body. What?
Exactly.
Oh, you've been thinking, because in their mind, you've been thinking about me. Well, where the fuck was you?
Where was you at?
You thinking about me? What was you? What was you doing?
Where were you?
I was just, booyah. So on the positive side, I bring all that back to say it's up to the individual, as everyone stated. That the reason I asked that question, because again, I'm gonna do a couple of episodes of podcast called Fatherless Redemption to talk to different fathers, to allow them to really understand what it is to redeem yourself, how to put principles in way, how to learn new habits, how to make sure that you in that child's life from a place of substance, not a place of giving.
There you go. Because they will make it
at one time,
make it a giving thing, and it's not really a giving thing. You can give all the money you want, but it's still going to solve nothing.
When I wasn't given as much money, and I started telling them, I don't got that for you right now. I got this spiritual knowledge. I got this principles for you right here. You could take it right here. Man, we should buzz like this, bro.
There you go.
Because they want this. Want this now.
Right.
And I'm saying, well, you're going to have to deal with this principle first, and let's deal with this aspect, and that's going to come with it, but you're going to have to deal with this first.
There you go. Exactly.
That would have been that, man, because it's living by those principles. As you stated, some people talk positivity, some people talk spirituality. How you live day to day, man. I ain't talking about when I see you.
Right.
I'm talking about when nobody.
Behind the scene. There you go. There you go.
When nobody see you. Is you really reading? Is you really yoga and meditating?
That's it.
Is you really looking to bond and grow with others?
Right.
What you doing? So one of the great positive things I always take from fathers, both of you guys, is the ability that for a young man to be as young as Danli is, and for him to be as engaged as he is in his children's life, that's a plus. And one, two, that's the archetype. So he's setting the standard. He's setting the stage.
Right.
He's setting the stage.
Yeah.
For you, Uno, it was a reflection more of, okay, damn, he had his father. He didn't have his father. He got in his children's life. He's still fighting for a child life. I say, man, look at the resilience and what they have. And Danli sharing some things with me that, I'm not really going to say in the air, but I know he said it, but he shared some things with me about fathers and stepfathers was just like, holy shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you, I know, man. So
just the positivity that to see y'all continue to grow. And for me, myself growing, I say, man, ain't never too late. And I love the generation of where the kids are coming from right now, because we're teaching self-knowledge now. We're teaching self-identity. We're teaching history. We're teaching culture. Where one time, you was that young, you wasn't being taught culture. So that's why it was difficult to see a positive image of yourself, because we wasn't given positive images. We were given the Mac and the Fly. Because I wanted to be the Mac. I want to be everything, baby. I want to be your mother, your father, your brother, your everything, baby.
Like, calm down, a pimp named Slipback.
Be your everything, baby. You know, so yeah, the positivity is coming away from all of that and realizing that, you know, we can continue to raise gangsters and pimps, or we can continue to raise spiritual genius. You know what I'm saying? Those who are meant to enhance and evolve the world. You know, those are the seeds that are coming out. So I'm playing my part and doing my job and fulfilling my purpose.
Yeah, and that's that whole thing with regards to standard and legacy. It's man, that's been. I was born and bred with that, and I've always reached for that. I've always reached for that type of thing. I always wanted to see the image of that in the family and how it worked. And on my mom's side of the family, it was hard because they came from a different place. My dad's side of the family they were more that way, but they just didn't like the connection between my mom and my dad. So there was a bunch of friction. But out of all of that, I realized there's an importance to my name. My name is important. The image of my name, the like I was telling my sons, what you do out there reflects on us. You can make the mistake. You can do what you got to do. If you make the mistakes, fine. We'll come and talk about that. But when you come into the understanding of what this legacy is about, your name means something and it's connected to ours. So as a coming point in time, where you're going to have to carry this on, you have to understand what the standard is. You have to understand how our legacy operates. All of this, like I was telling my son earlier, I said, look, we are building from a time to where we were cut off from legacy. No one, for 2 to 3 generations in our family on both sides, no one taught legacy. No one talked about legacy at all, period. No one built anything. No grandparents were passing down anything to grandchildren or children. None of that was happening at all, period. So we have to pick up the slack to where they left off and build from this point on so we can get back on track with it. But that is the complete idea of how and why I'm building, because I know when I leave here, it's not going to be said that I didn't leave anything. I didn't leave an inheritance. I didn't leave a legacy. I didn't leave my name. I didn't leave a standard. You see what I'm saying? So that's important. That's why the shirt that I wear says Williams Legacy since 1949. That's the year of my dad's birth. So we came to a place where them folks didn't want to deal with us. Fine. You turn your back on us. Fine. No problem. We'll just pick up where my daddy left, when my daddy was born, and we'll go from there. You see what I'm saying? But we're not going to not build a legacy. We have to build one. We have to leave something. We got to purchase property. We have to invest in something to know that something's left behind. But it has to be managed. It can't be just thrown away or destroyed. And that's the point of teaching. And all is not easy, because not all reception of teaching is accepted. But at the end of the day, if you teach them long enough, if you keep reminding them long enough of what the standard is, eventually it's going to begin to ring out in their mind. This is what the standard is about. This is what our standard is for our family. This is what it looks like. This is who our clan is, blah, blah, blah. And you go down the list. It has to be that way.
I wanna circle back on the positivity of how y'all were talking earlier about, and Mr. Impossible brought it up, which made me think of the Billy Carson when he was like, when you do your affirmations, even your vision board. I was like, so therefore, if you're going to try and manifest something, I was like, you have to know the ins and outs of it to manifest exactly what it is that you need. And when it comes down to that, it makes me think about the children, how a lot of times growing up, they end up forgetting the imagination. I feel how that imagination is very important to actually be able to see what it is that you're trying to get to. And I feel like that's the reason why a lot of times everything now is about memorization rather than imagination and knowing where it is that you're trying to go. Because a lot of like, you look at children when they're young, like my kids, they're like 3 and 5. The imagination that they have, they can physically see what it is and just be able to describe it to you, even though it's not really there. Or at least we can't see it.
It is.
You can't see it.
Yeah. It's really there. Yeah, it's really there. Yeah, it's really there. Yeah.
So as we grow older, it's like we kind of, like when I was growing up, things that I would see, my mom was like, that's not there, those demons, whatever. And it kind of pushed me away to where I didn't really use my imagination. So now it's like trying to get back to that.
Right.
And I often talk about the true self. The true self is living your authentic, being who you authentically are. And I'm like, therefore, that's how you usually are the happiest. And with that, that takes us back down to when we are children, that imagination that we have. Because how are you going to have a goal or a dream when you can't even see it? If you can't really even see it in your mind's eye, how are you going to believe it?
Right. But see,
So
and that's
the positivity.
That's the thing. And as you said that in regards to the spiritual portion and how you see the spiritual things, it's not necessarily all a bad thing. You don't know if those things are there to protect you or not. And you having a conversation with it, that may be a lifelong thing. But if you stop seeing it because somebody said it ain't there, then that's a part of a disconnection between the spiritual world.
We're blocking
and bring you into this world that has no relevance. There you go. That has no relevance. Being to your mother has no real relevance. The reality is the spiritual. Period. Beyond the avatar that we live in, we are the spiritual beings. 100%.
Go ahead, Impossible.
And another thing, and like most if not 80% of occult books that I have read, they speak about going into the imagination.
There you go.
That's so all the true occult books, they tell you about it's the imagination. It's the realest thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? They tell you stories of people that have been in these different camps and they change their mind, their mental set to a degree where they had the guards in the prisons coming to them saying, "What the hell?
Yeah.
What is how's he doing this? He behind walls and he's vision that damn who the hell is this man?" So they've been telling us for a long time, and that's why, just to piggyback on what you said, Danli and Sigma Uno, about kids and dreams and visions of what they see. So Naru is 7 now. When he was about 4 years old, almost 5 years old, he said, "Papa, I had a dream last night. I seen this big old wolf." I said, "Well, what you do?" He's talking about, "I ran away from it." I said, "Well, what you run for?" He's talking about, "Because it was a big wolf. It was a big wolf." I said, "Well, the next time the wolf come back, talk to him, ask the wolf his name, and see what happened." So he went back in. He went and came back and said, "Papa, I was riding a wolf last night. I was riding a wolf in my dream last night." So it's understanding how to teach that.
That's it.
How to teach that internal dialogue to where my grandkids can do something right now, and they'll tell you the first thing I'm gonna say is, "So what your spirit say?"
There you go.
I don't want you to tell me how you feel, and I don't want you to tell me what you're thinking. I want you to tell me what your spirit says. I want you to tell me when you're hearing from that internal place that you know right from wrong, but you made a different choice. But you know right from wrong because of the spiritual in here that you hear. So I teach from that perspective. So
I wanna say something. I also want to read a small chapter. It's like a page and a half out of this book called Times for Life. But first thing that I want to say is the imagination. When it comes down to that, I do this thing called story time with my kids, where I have it where we sit down, close our eyes. We'll start off with everything being black, and we'll start building from there. But I want to read this book. I want to read this chapter. It's chapter 16 out of a book called Times for Life. It's called The Window and the Pursuit of Happiness. 2 seriously ill men occupied the same hospital room. One man was allowed to sit up in his bed for 1 hour a day to drain the fluids from his lungs. His bed was next to the only window in the room. The other man had to lie flat all the time. The men talked for hours. They spoke of family and friends. Every evening when the one man was allowed to sit up, he would describe what was outside his window. The man in the other bed lived for that 1 hour period each day. Quote, "The window overlooked a park with a lovely lake," unquote. The man said, "Ducks and swans played. Kids sailed boats. Lovers walked hand in hand." The man would lie there with his eyes closed, imagining what the other man was describing. One day, while the man was describing the parade go by, the man, confined to lying on his back, said to himself, "Why should he have all the pleasures of seeing everything while I can't? It doesn't seem fair." He soon started to be resentful, and his manner turned sour. He started to brood and found himself unable to sleep. Late one night, as he lay looking at the ceiling, the man closest to the window began to cough. He was choking on the fluids in his lungs. The man watched as the man struggled to hit the emergency call button. In less than 5 minutes, the coughing stopped, and there was a deathly silence. In the morning, the nurse found the man dead. After they removed the dead man from the hospital room, the other man asked to be moved to the window bed. Slowly and painfully, he propped himself up and looked out the window. The window faced a brick wall. The pursuit of happiness is a matter of choice. It is an attitude we choose to express consciously. Always keep your words soft and sweet, just in case you have to eat them.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories, bro.
Yeah,
my favorite story.
I mean, that's out of a book called Tie-ins for Life. I read this. I try and read like a chapter out of this book always, and I love it because the title of the book is Tie-ins for Life. Like I said, the author is he's a retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel C. Shusko, USMC. And I mean, I got this book when I was going through the martial arts instructors course by a staff sergeant, and he told me about that book, and I started reading that. And every time I would end up teaching a class with martial arts, I was always end up using a story out of this book. And ever since I got out the Marine Corps, I make sure that I read one story a day because there's a lot of things in there that can really make you take a look on life. And there's a story for everything. Like every time we do a podcast episode, there's things that
for sure.
my head from this book. And I mean, when I used to do my tea times on Clubhouse, I always finished by reading a chapter out of this book. And then I would always do my little gratitude, how I do on the podcast. Like, what did you learn? What are you thankful for? So, I mean, that was across my mind when we were just talking about it with the imagination and actually seeing it. Because this man was looking at a brick wall and he could see all these things. And that kept him in those high spirits and also uplifted the individual who was in the room.
It kept both of them. It kept both of them in high spirits. But the one was envious of the other. But then when he got to where the other one was, he didn't have the same vision. Yeah. So he you know, that was one of my favorite stories, man, when I was coming through. That was one of my favorite ones because it lets you understand the perspective. You know what I mean? Like with the perspective, you think somebody got it better than you. You may not even understand what you got.
Exactly.
You don't even understand what you have. Yeah. You don't even understand what you have. So.
The man who was in the bed was getting resentful because he couldn't see. So I mean that part what stood out to me the most. I was like, you got resentful because you couldn't see it physically, but at the same time, you don't realize how much of a blessing that you could see it. You were believing it was really there.
He was imagining in his mind. Exactly.
Like, if you can see it, you can see it in your mind. If you can imagine it in your mind, then keep going with that, and to realize, hey, it was a brick wall the whole time. My imagination was actually enough. Then man, he should have stuck with it. Unfortunately, I mean, he help old dude and everything. But yeah, I get it.
I understand the allegations that the person I'm about to quote is going through. But R. Kelly said, "And that I believe I can fly. If I believe it, I can achieve it." Like,
well, don't you your ass from no building talking about R. Kelly. I believe I can fly.
Hey, bro,
your ass is going to your fucking death.
I can soar over mountains that are put in front of me. So when negative things are coming towards me, I'm like,
keep that imagination alive, baby. Yeah, exactly. Keep that imagination popping.
Like sprout wings and fly, but I know that anything that comes to me, I can get over it. I can get over it. I can fly over those obstacles, you know. So I mean, I take that on a deep level.
Here's the thing. All right. Well, let me ask you a question. If we are set up for suffering and obstacles, what if there were no obstacles? There was only evolution. What would that be like? If there were no obstacles, there were no suffering. There was only evolution.
There wouldn't be a problem compared to what we suffer now. Compared to the experience we experience now, if there were none, we wouldn't have no problems. We wouldn't be here. I would be here. I wouldn't be here.
You disagree?
I disagree.
Talk to me on a disagree.
The reason that I disagree is for us, there wouldn't be any issues, but later on down the line, there will be. Because if you think about it, hard times make for what?
See, but if that belief was never there,
hold on. No. Let him finish. I trust me. I'm coming back to it. Let him finish.
The reason I say that. Like hard times make for easier life, but then when you get that easier life, it ends up creating hard times later on. So if we have nothing that we are fighting against, nothing that is any type of resistance against us, eventually something is going to cause it to come downhill. Because if you think about it, the reason why there's always a war is because there's always a self-centered individual who feels that they need everything. So at some point, somebody's going to come through and fuck it all up. And then now we're going to end up going into an era that we're in now, which then we're going to be trying to get back to that, as you want to say, golden age or whatever. So, I mean, at some point we were there. I feel at some point we were there.
I would say,
and then now look where we are.
I would say this to the suffering and the overcoming. Those are all ideas. If you were in a metamorphosis state and your metamorphosis was painful, that's fine, but you're still in an evolution state. You're not subjective to the pain that you're going through when you metamorphose.
Right.
We're more set on the suffering and the pain versus the full metamorphosis and the evolution. So we are talking about all the obstacles, and I ain't saying that they're not things that we may, again, we have to evolve into, we have to change into. The words that we're using as far as suffering and hard times, when we use those connotations, we're setting up ideology, imagery, emotion, feelings all at the same time. That's difficult to be something positive when the very thing you're talking about set up psychologically a whole different shit in your mind.
Yeah, but is it?
So if I'm not even,
is it safe to say
I'm just
at the same time? That's what I'm saying. For us, it'll be cool. For us, it'll be good. But think of in the future. I feel like I don't know when, but at some point, it'll come full circle. Because you think about it, this has happened.
But that's why I'm speaking in the now. In the now, if there is no obstacle, there is no suffering, there's just evolution. What would that be like?
That would be smooth.
So versus we remembering what hard times and suffering is and why we use hard time and suffering. Yeah. Why we think that's the best thing. But we do understand in the very process, hear what I said, in the very process of making a diamond, it's pressure.
Yes.
Everything ain't no hard times in that now. That's just pressure. That's just, nigga, I need this pressure and this heat. That's just the pressure.
So
and the not hard times, just the pressure.
So this is the thing that I get what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. And the reason why you're saying that is because the history of all of that is what it is right now. Now, mind you, the language that we're using is a dirt trash language.
Yeah.
The English language is trash, period. So the words they made up and the definitions for it is what shapes this country. You see what I'm saying? So we're looking for the definition of something and how things are. We can't look by their standards. If we look by their standards, then we're looking forward to pain. We're looking forward to suffering. We're looking forward to all of that. If there was none of that existed, there was no definition that said suffering is mandatory, then there wouldn't be in our mind to do it at all, period. You see what I'm saying? So we have to get past
exactly.
One thing I hate about this, again, I hate this language so badly because let's talk about just something simple as mortgage. Mortgage means death. Death of what? Death of the finances of someone because they're participating in it. That's just one word. You see what I'm saying? And it's all
death. Yes.
It's all geared on them making sure that we're in their pocket or under their foot. Everything. When they were forbidding us to read, they didn't want us to make they did it because they didn't want us to be on a level that they're on or to understand it when they were understanding it, because then we could deduce it and get around it. So they waited. Then they said, okay, you can read. We'll teach them to read, but we're going to teach them what we want to teach them to read versus what they actually should know, because there's a separation between what they know and what we know. That's why there's more of a struggle for us, less of a struggle for them. You see what I'm saying? So it's all in a slant. It's all systematic. If I knew that there was no such thing as suffering, because I come to the place right now, there is no such thing as suffering. It's all in my mind. It's all in what I see. That's what we're trying to get the people that we love to begin to understand. Look, this is all a mental thing, because somebody impressed this upon you. You believe it. And because you believed it for so long, you believe it with your whole heart. And now you're passing that same information on from one person to the next person. Before you know it, we're all wailing and gnashing the teeth because somebody said we should.
Infrastructure.
If that's why I envy babies, because they don't come with this bullshit. They don't come with none of it. They say what they want. They say how they feel. Zechariah would off a chair and not care about breaking his leg or nothing. We are all poisoned because, oh my God, he's going to hurt himself. He's not thinking that in his mind, and he doesn't hurt himself. You see what I'm saying? So these are all the things that happen when we are fed information. And like you said, if that was taken from us and we didn't have to think about any of that, how much more free will we be and how much more successful will we be?
Come on.
We would actually be in person right now, probably in a park recording this.
And not even recording it. We will be fellowshipping with each other without a problem.
Yeah.
No problems at all. No anger. No
it will be a bunch of us.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
We all will be.
It's the ideology.
There you go. I get it. I
when it's that's the most powerful thing that they use when it comes to positivity or just life as it is. It's just the ideology. It's the signs and the symbols, what they use behind it and how they define it. And the most powerful thing that we can do positively is to gain our own signs and symbols.
There you go.
Whether you're able to create those signs and symbols, whether you have those ancient ancestral signs and symbols, those indigenous symbols that come from the tribes, like whatever you're able to use, but to be able to use those signs and symbols for the betterment and enhancement of your life. Now, have y'all seen this movie called Focus with Will Smith?
Yes, I have.
It sounds familiar.
Pretty intense.
Okay. So when they programmed the guy with the 55, they never spoke the word 55.
No.
They never spoke the word.
Never spoke.
They placed all of these symbols all around him where it was in his subconscious mind. But there was never a word. There was a song that they played that said a particular tune 55 times.
There you go. Exactly.
They use sound and symbology. So I'm saying to that, if they're able to do that and they showed you in a movie how they can program somebody from just symbol, that's all. And sound, symbol and sound, to get him to have an idea that he thought of himself.
Sounds like words and language.
This is cooked up by
the
American Psychological Association. There's a system of this. They created this. They created the same thing. They did everything that they.
But
did.
What I'm saying, to use it for positivity, though, I know what they did with it. We talking about positivity. I'm talking about utilizing it for positivity. If we're just telling the people what we know is fucked up, we're doing a disservice. We got to give them the power. We got to give them the ability. We got to make sure that they have what they need. And take that back. I take that back. Control or delete. Control or delete. Control or delete. We don't need.
No more.
Yeah. Control or delete. Control or delete.
Right.
We ought to share with individuals the ability to enhance their lives, to be better, to see themselves as they really are by signs and symbols. Just like behind me, you can see certain symbols behind me. Those particular symbols are behind me, and they're with me all the time.
I hear you.
And other parts of the house, there are other symbols. Go ahead.
Like when you hit Control or Delete on a computer, you know what that does, right?
It erases everything. Or it resets.
It pulls up the task manager. It pulls up the task manager.
And in that task manager, I can decide what to do in the task. I can decide. Do I want to delete? Do I want to continue? Do I want to restart? I don't want to restart this shit. I don't want to restart this shit.
Because a lot of people delete. So when you say Control Delete, I was like, bro, that goes a little deeper. That goes a little deeper. I like that.
Oh, again, there's layers to us. So we can't we're saying words without understanding the layers. It's like an onion. We are a spiritual onion.
Shrek said the same thing. Ogres are like onions. We have layers. I feel like I gotta be like.
Oh, matter of fact, we might not have time. The next time we do something, we're gonna do something on archetypes, and I want you to pull up that archetype I sent you with Carl Jung, and we're just gonna talk about archetypes. Next time we're gonna do just symbols and archetypes. And we're just going to get into all different type of archetypes and symbols, bro. I'm telling you, we gotta go to. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what we do with that. But yeah, we can do it on mine.
You wanna do it on like this? Or
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I'm like, we can have that discussion.
We can do it both. We could do it both ways. You know what I'm saying? Because again, Brother Jamal too, I reached out to him today, and he said that he want to get together and let's all sit down and grab something to eat and just kind of chop it up and just kind of vibe. Yeah. So we definitely need to do that. You know what I'm saying? That brother's he on point. He on point.
Hey, I just found this. If you want to call it like vegan, it's like a vegetarian spot. They got like salads and stuff like that. I feel like that'd be good too. Get some high vibrational food into us.
Where? Because I know King got one downtown on Hampton Street. I know for sure.
Okay, the one that
downtown, but
it's on Sunset Boulevard.
Sunset.
Yeah, it's on.
What's
Sunset.
the name of it?
I'll get the name. I'll get the name for you. I haven't tried it out yet.
Get the name and send it to me, and then I'll get the one from King because matter of fact, July the 7th, King Carew or Orion Temples on Broad River Road, he's having his 75th birthday party coming up. It's going to be over on Garners Ferry Road at the big 5D Temple. If y'all ain't been to the 5D Temple, you're going to walk in there and see 5,000 square foot of African attire and spiritual work and paintings and sculptures and amulets and oils. 5D, 5D is the biggest utter jucker in South Carolina. There ain't nothing like it, and it's owned by King Carew right here. And like I told y'all before, you know, we might have missed that. We got masters right here. We got masters right here. We got masters right here. Yeah, so he doing that July the 7th. It starts at 3 o'clock. You have to have African attire in order for you to attend. That's his only request. Yeah. So yo, listen, man, they're gonna have the out there. They're gonna have the food out there. I know we may have not made it to ATL. I get it, but I promise you, July I ain't mad. Because it tells me something about what's happening in here. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I don't need to be everywhere. Sometimes I need to be still and be present and really do, because you know I give nothing but love and homage to that brother Black Magic. You know what I'm saying? Like what I learned over his platform over the years, the workshops that I've been able to attend over the years of just watching his platform. The God Power 1 and 2, there were a particular Atlantis and Anaki from Billy Carson. There were crypto workshops that I've had through there. Man, they were Wayne. They were a bunch of workshops, and then you have the workshop for yourself for perpetuity in life. So yeah, that program alone put together, I give nothing but homage for everybody that has come through there and everybody that's doing what they're doing right now, because those people that he have down there right now is exceptional in their field. And yeah, definitely. Yeah. It gave a little stinger, but you know.
I'm gonna have to give you my login for 4BK so you can go check it out.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh my God. You ain't been on Forbidden Knowledge yet?
No.
Oh God, man.
Check it out. You're gonna be like, okay.
Hey, Sigmundo, I'm gonna say this before we.
You're gonna be on there for a while.
You're gonna get lost in there, bro. Yeah. You're gonna get lost.
Because I was just like, listen, I got things.
Listen, this, and I say it's two things that I can tell you that are money, and I mean. He got all different type of workshops on that motherfucker. You can go to his workshop page and you can get it from Manifest Destiny to investment workshops to cooking workshops. He got bro. When I tell you,
he's got a lot of people on there working with him. Like I was
man, listen.
He's creating an app now.
I told you. I said, don't slip, bro. Go on over there and pay that. Go on over there and pay that money. Go on and pay that money, bro. Go on and pay that money. So we should pay that money over here. We pay that money over here. We pay that money over here.
I went and did the year subscription. So I mean, with that, it'll renew it.
You forget it.
Like
next year.
It's
mystery schools and that fucking black motherfucking satellite. That Dark Knight satellite. Oh my fucking God.
That movie's pretty good. I watched that twice during one shift. I was like, bro.
Listen. All I can say is that shit make all. I was like this, nigga.
How are you going to be everywhere, seeing everything all at once?
Wow.
I said I was like this. I said,
yeah.
And his Egyptian mystery schools, mystery schools are bar none. Wow. I don't see nobody lay it down the way he lay it down, verbatim and piece by piece.
I would love to
like that right there.
Like a couple, I think, like what, 4 times a year.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got like he's got privilege. They let him in the places that other people cannot go. Like, and if you get that tour, I'm like, that would be an honor.
Look, all I can say is all we are doing is aligning. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We are seeing what others are doing, and we understanding that same thing can be opened up for us as well. Right. So we never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to do business with. You never know who you're going to end up to be a partnership with that can allow you access to that and maybe even greater. You just never know. Never know what possibilities are. Never allow someone to dictate what possibility is for you. But you have the greatest possibility for you.
That's it. I agree.
You got it. But that brother, he kicks it though, man. And my closing remarks are just real simple when it comes to positivity. It's love yourself. If you don't have a love for yourself, if you're battling with loving yourself, if you're having problems loving yourself, ask yourself why.
That's it.
Why do I have a problem just loving myself? Why is with nobody doing anything, with you not reading a damn book? Before you even read the book, can you just love yourself first?
Yeah. Have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Talk to yourself.
That's my closing remark.
Right.
Yeah, that's my closing remark.
I believe the same thing. 100%. I believe that you should have a conversation with yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. People make it seem like people that talk to themselves are crazy. That's not true. You are. Look, again, I've said this 1,000,001 times and quite a few times on the podcast, but our construct, the avatar that we live in, is designed for us to speak to a higher power. The higher source of ourselves is between our two temples. That's where it's at. When you have a conversation with yourself, it's not just you. There are 3 parts to that. There is what the system says good and bad is, but it's all defense. It's all offense and defense, and what do they call it when in strategy? So this is strategy, offense, defense. That's all it is. And so when you have a conversation with yourself, all of those should be meeting. Yeah. All those should be meeting and determining what's going to happen. The minute that you wake up or go to the bathroom or step out the door or go get in the car, all of that needs to be, you need to have a conversation with yourself about how all that happens. Do not miss having the conversation with you. You even have to answer yourself. It don't matter. You're talking to someone that you know understands what's going on in you. So you have to connect with yourself. And that's one way of doing it. That's my closing remark.
Man, when it comes down to the positivity, I'm like the imagination is a vital point. Don't ever lose sight of the things that you see, the things that you feel, because I'm like the things that you see and the energy of your feelings that you put into it is ultimately going to make it to where those things become true. Right. The things that you say, even if you don't believe it, but yet you feel it, I was like, you're putting that power into it. I was like, then at the same time, to have that end goal, you need to be able to see it, truly believe it, so that way you fully are striving towards it. Write it down so that way you can see it. Describe it so you can see it.
Word.
Make sure that you follow through with it. My grandma told me, she was like, hey, write it down before you go to bed, recite it. When you wake up, read it, recite it again. Make it where it is a part of you.
Right.
Marks, I thank y'all gentlemen for being on here. That was definitely the positivity.
Thanks for the opportunity.
I love the positivity always.
Definitely.
We're gonna go ahead and close it out. Thank you, Mr. Sigma Uno.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Impossible, for joining. And with that, this was another episode of Divine Time. Relax your mind. Everything comes in divine time, all right? Blessings. Shedding tears.